Before you swipe away, imagine a single US quarter sitting in your pocket, worth more than a luxury car, more than a house down payment, even more than most people earn in years. This is not a rumor. This is real American history hiding in plain sight. And the craziest part, millions of these quarters were spent without anyone realizing their true value. Today, you are about to discover the top 10 most valuable US quarter dollar coins ever found. Coins born from economic crashes, wartime mistakes, secret mint errors, and historic firsts. Coins so rare that collectors search for them their entire lives. Watch closely.
Imagine holding a piece of American pride right in your hand, a tiny silver disc that captures centuries of rugged landscapes, wild frontiers, and the untamed spirit of the American West. This is not just any coin, it is the 2007 Montana State Quarter, one of the most iconic and emotionally powerful designs in the entire 50 State Quarters program. And today, we are going deep into its story from concept to circulation, from the windswept plains of Big Sky Country to the precision presses of the United States Mint. This quarter tells a story that few people truly know. So sit back and get ready for an unforgettable journey through history, art, and the enduring legacy of a coin that represents the heart of Montana. The 2007 Montana Quarter was released on January 29, 2007, as the 41st coin in the 50 State Quarters program, which began in 1999 and was one of the most successful coin programs in United States history. The purpose of this program was to celebrate the heritage and uniqueness of each of the 50 states by issuing a special quarter for every state in the order that they joined the Union. Montana. The Treasure State became the 41st state on November 8, 1889, and more than a century later, its story was immortalized in a coin that would circulate into the hands of millions across the nation. When you look closely at the design of the Montana Quarter, you see the powerful image of a bison skull centered proudly over a sweeping landscape of the Rocky Mountains. This design was not random. It was chosen to symbolize Montana's rich cultural heritage, its rugged natural beauty, and its deep connection to both the land and its Native American roots. The bison skull represents life and reverence for nature and Native American culture, while the mountain background reflects the grandeur of the state's western terrain, and the phrase Big Sky Country, emblazoned below the image, captures Montana's most famous nickname, a name that evokes freedom, vastness, and the unbroken horizon that stretches as far as the eye can see. The journey to select this design was a fascinating process. It began in 2005, when the Montana State Quarter Commission was formed to gather public input. The people of Montana were invited to submit their ideas, and over 4,000 design concepts poured in from every corner of the state. The submissions were narrowed down to 5 finalists, and then sent to the United States Mint's artists and engravers, who translated these ideas into coin-ready designs after rounds of review. The winning design by artist Donna Weaver was selected for its striking simplicity and deep symbolism. Weaver was already a well-known artist at the Mint, known for capturing emotion and story through minimal detail, and her vision of the bison skull and mountains became one of the most memorable state quarter designs ever produced. When production began at the Denver and Philadelphia Mints, millions of Montana quarters were struck. The Philadelphia Mint produced over 256 million coins, while the Denver Mint produced over 320 million together, totaling more than 500 million coins in circulation. Collectors also had access to proof and silver-proof versions minted at the San Francisco Mint, with highly polished dies and mirror-like finishes. These collectible editions quickly became sought after among numismatists around the world. But what truly makes the 2007 Montana Quarter fascinating is not just its beauty or its symbolism, it is the history that inspired it. Montana's story stretches back thousands of years to the time when vast herds of bison roamed freely across the Great Plains. Long before the arrival of European settlers, the region was home to Native American tribes such as the Crow, Blackfeet, and Sioux, who viewed the bison as sacred and central to life. The skull of the bison often symbolized respect for nature and the cycle of life, death, and renewal that shaped their world. When Montana became part of the United States, its landscapes remained wild and untamed, and the bison continued to stand as a reminder of both loss and endurance. After near extinction in the 19th century, the bison was restored to the plains through conservation efforts, symbolizing Montana's strength and resilience. This cultural and natural heritage is precisely what the Montana Quarter was designed to honor. It is more than a coin. It is a tribute to the people, the land, and the spirit of a place that embodies the very essence of the American frontier. The Big Sky State, with its open prairies, soaring mountains, and endless horizons, became immortalized in 25 cents of copper and nickel. As we dive deeper into the making of this coin, we must also look at the technical artistry that brings such symbols to life. The Montana Quarter, like all state quarters, is made of a copper core clad with cupronickel and weighs 567 grams, with a diameter of 2,426 millimeters. The obverse of the coin features the timeless portrait of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan, which has appeared on the quarter since 1932. But for the state quarters program, it was slightly modified by sculptor William Cousins to better balance with the reverse designs. Each state's coin tells its own story. But the common thread is the proud face of America's first president looking forward to the future, while the reverse celebrates its history. Collectors quickly recognized the Montana Quarter for its strong visual contrast and minimalistic power, unlike some other states that filled their reverse designs with multiple elements. Montana's design was clean, bold, and instantly recognizable. The bison skull stands as a symbol that transcends time, reminding us of both ancient traditions and modern identity. The open mountainscape beneath it creates a sense of depth and perspective that perfectly mirrors the feeling of standing under the immense skies of Montana. Now let's explore the market value and collector interest in the Montana Quarter, though millions were minted. Certain varieties and conditions have made some pieces far more valuable than others uncirculated, and proof versions remain highly collectible with silver. Proof sets commanding premium prices among enthusiasts in pristine condition, a Montana Quarter graded MS67 or higher by professional grading services such as PCGS or NGC, can fetch impressive prices, especially those with minting errors over the years. Rare die cracks, double die obverses, and off-center strikes have been reported, adding even more excitement to the hunt for these coins. Among collectors, the silver proof edition made from 90% silver is particularly desirable because of its beauty, rarity, and connection to American minting tradition. Beyond its physical and monetary value, the Montana Quarter stands as an artistic and cultural statement. It bridges the ancient and the modern, uniting Native American heritage with American craftsmanship and national pride. When people first began collecting state quarters in the early 2000s, few could have imagined how deeply this program would capture the public's imagination. It turned millions of ordinary Americans into collectors, historians, and storytellers. Every coin became a window into the soul of a state, and none captured that spirit more powerfully than the Montana Quarter. As the years passed and the 50 state quarters program came to an end in 2008, coins like the Montana Quarter continued to inspire new generations of collectors even today. More than 15 years later, it remains one of the most admired designs for its simplicity, symbolism, and historical depth. It continues to circulate as a reminder of the landscapes that define America's identity and the importance of preserving its history through art and design. When you hold a 2007 Montana Quarter, you are holding more than a coin. You are holding the story of a people, a land, and a vision. Of America's past and future, the bison skull may seem silent, but it speaks volumes. It tells the story of the American frontier, of the spirit that never fades, of the endless skies that still watch over the state of Montana, and of a nation that captures its history not just in books and monuments, but in the very coins that pass from hand to hand across generations. Have you ever held a coin so ordinary yet so full of secrets that it could tell stories of history, pride, error, and pure American craftsmanship? What if I told you that the 2005 Kansas Quarter, a coin worth just 25 cents, hides mysteries that make collectors chase it across the world? Welcome to the incredible journey of the Kansas State Quarter, a coin that celebrates the heart of America, the Great Plains, and the strength of a state that built its legacy through courage, freedom, and endless golden fields of wheat. Now let's dive deep into the untold and fascinating history of the 2005 Kansas Quarter, from its design inspiration and minting process to the incredible errors that made it one of the most famous coins in the modern state quarters series, because what started as a simple part of a 50-state collection became one of the most talked about coins in numismatic history. The year was 2005, and America was in the midst of one of the most successful coin Programs in its history. The 50-State Quarters program launched in 1999 by the United States Mint under the United States Department of the Treasury. This ambitious initiative aimed to honor each of the 50 states with a unique quarter design celebrating their history, culture, and natural heritage. The 2005 Kansas State Quarter was the 34th release in the program, representing the great state of Kansas, which joined the Union on January 29, 1861. This coin became a tribute to the state's agricultural heritage, its vast plains, and the resilient spirit of its people. The Kansas Quarter was officially released into circulation on August 29, 2005, minted at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints. The design was chosen after months of public input and design submissions that reflected Kansas's unique history. The final design featured a powerful combination of two state symbols, the American bison and the sunflower. The bison, also known as the American buffalo, represents the wildlife and natural freedom of the Kansas plains, while the sunflower stands tall as the state's official flower, symbolizing growth, energy, and life on the open prairie. The coin's motto, E pluribus unum, meaning out of many, one, adds a layer of unity that ties together the story of Kansas with that of the nation. The obverse of the coin continued the familiar image of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan and originally used since 1932. However, for the State Quarters program, it was slightly modified by William Cousins to fit the updated commemorative design style. The reverse design of the Kansas Quarter was created by Norman E. Nemeth, an artist known for his precise attention to detail and deep respect for American history. His design successfully captured the essence of Kansas, simple, strong, and full of life. One of the fascinating aspects that made the Kansas Quarter stand out in numismatic history is the presence of some rare and highly collectible mint errors. Among the most famous of these are the In God We Rust error coins. This incredible minting error occurred primarily in some of the 2005 Kansas Quarters produced at the Kansas Denver Mint. The reason behind this error was grease or debris that filled part of the letter T in the word trust, causing it to appear as In God We Rust. These error coins quickly gained fame among collectors and became a striking symbol of how even a small imperfection could turn an everyday coin into a treasure. Some of these error coins have sold for hundreds or even thousands of dollars, depending on their condition and rarity. The Kansas Quarter's popularity extended far beyond its face value. Collectors praised its simplicity and artistic balance. Unlike some state designs that became crowded with symbols, the Kansas Quarter focused on two iconic elements, the bison and the sunflower, creating a bold and clean visual appeal that captured the heartland of America. The bison itself holds a powerful symbolic meaning as one of the great animals of the American frontier, once roaming freely across the plains in massive herds before near extinction in the 19th century. Its comeback in modern times mirrors the strength and endurance of Kansas itself. The production figures for the 2005 Kansas Quarter reflect the scale of the State Quarters program. The Philadelphia Mint produced over 263 million Kansas Quarters, while the Denver Mint struck around 300 million, making it one of the more abundant issues in the series. However, despite its large mintage, specific varieties like the In God We Rust error coins remained scarce and sought after. Proof versions were also minted at the San Francisco Mint, both in clad and 90% silver versions, catering to collectors seeking pristine examples for their albums and display sets. From a historical perspective, the Kansas Quarter also represents a larger story about how coins became educational tools for the nation. The 50 State Quarters program not only brought millions of new collectors into the hobby, but also reignited national interest in history and geography. Each quarter became a miniature lesson about America's states, their symbols, and their unique contributions to the nation's identity. For Kansas, the coin served as a reminder of the state's agricultural foundation, its role in westward expansion, and its historical significance in the struggle for freedom during the turbulent years leading up to the Civil War. Another aspect worth noting is how the Kansas Quarter embodies design balance and cultural pride. The inclusion of the sunflower not only adds aesthetic appeal, but also connects directly to the state's nickname, the Sunflower State. In this way, the coin is more than metal. It's storytelling through art, a piece of symbolism that can fit in your pocket but represents generations of heritage and progress collectors today often classify the 2005 Kansas quarter in several categories. Circulated versions can be found easily in pocket change, while uncirculated rolls, mint sets, and proof versions hold higher value for those maintaining pristine collections. Error coins, especially those with the missing T, can range dramatically in value depending on how bold and complete the error appears. The combination of its clean design, strong symbolism, and collectible varieties ensures the Kansas quarter remains a significant entry in the state quarter series, even decades after its release over time. The Kansas quarter has come to represent a deeper message about American craftsmanship and attention to detail. It reminds collectors and historians that even in the smallest form of art, a 25-cent piece, there exists a narrative about resilience, unity, and national pride. The bison continues to stand strong, the sunflower continues to bloom, and Kansas continues to shine through its representation in this iconic piece of American currency. From the vast plains to the mint presses, from the artist's sketches to the collector's albums, the story of the 2005 Kansas State Quarter is a perfect blend of heritage and art. It carries not just metal, but memory. A memory of how America celebrated its diversity one quarter at a time. Whether you're a collector, a history lover, or just someone fascinated by the details hidden in everyday coins, the Kansas quarter reminds us that beauty and value often come in the simplest forms, right there in the change jingling in your pocket. Imagine holding in your hand a small piece of American history that not only represents currency, but also tells the story of a state, its heritage, and its place in the grand narrative of the United States of America, the 2003 Rhode Island State Quarter, issued as part of the ambitious 50 State Quarters program by the United States Mint, is one of those coins that go far beyond being just a medium of exchange. It is a story struck in metal, a tribute to the ocean state, and a collector's delight. This coin, released into circulation in May 2001, celebrates Rhode Island's deep maritime traditions, its cultural identity, and its history of seafaring excellence. When we begin looking into the details of this coin, we uncover a narrative that stretches from the founding of Rhode Island to the modern numismatic world and everything in between. And for those who are fascinated by coins' history and American identity, this coin provides an endless array of stories worth telling in a detailed way that can easily fill hours of study and discussion. The Rhode Island Quarter was the 13th design released under the 50 State Quarters program, which ran from 1999 to 2008 and was one of the most successful coin programs in United States Mint history. The initiative was designed to honor each of the 50 states with a unique reverse design, highlighting its culture symbols and historical significance. Rhode Island was admitted to the Union on May 29, 1790, making it the 13th state. And fittingly, the Rhode Island Quarter was also the 13th release in the program. The obverse of the coin, like all state quarters, features the familiar portrait of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan, but slightly modified for the program, while the reverse showcases the most iconic and meaningful imagery representing Rhode Island. The reverse design features a vintage sailboat known as the Rhode Island Pell Bridge sailboat, gliding gracefully across the waters of Narragansett Bay with the famed Claiborne Pell Newport Bridge in the background. The choice of imagery was deliberate and thoughtful, as Narragansett Bay has always been at the heart of Rhode Island's economy, culture, and history. The sailboat represents the state's proud sailing traditions and its maritime heritage, while the bridge symbolizes Rhode Island's connection between communities and its role in linking different parts of the state. The words Rhode Island and the Ocean State are inscribed on the reverse, emphasizing the fact that even though Rhode Island is the smallest state in the Union, it boasts an incredible amount of coastline relative to its size, with nearly 400 miles of shoreline. The design was created by artist Daniel Carr, a talented designer and sculptor whose work was selected through a design competition. Carr's imagery captures both the natural beauty and the man-made engineering marvels that define Rhode Island, the United States Mint engravers, then translated the design into the coin's striking details, ensuring that every wave, every sail, and every line of the bridge could be appreciated by millions of people across the country. The level of artistry in this quarter cannot be overlooked, because while it is mass-produced, its symbolism resonates deeply with the people of Rhode Island and collectors everywhere. To fully appreciate the 2003 Rhode Island Quarter, we need to understand the historical background of Rhode Island itself. known as the Ocean State Rhode Island, has been defined by its relationship to the sea. Since its founding, it was one of the original 13 colonies established by Roger Williams in 1636 as a haven for religious freedom and independence throughout its early history. Rhode Island's ports, its fisheries, and its shipbuilding industries became the backbone of its economy during the colonial era. The state was known for its spirit of independence and was the first to renounce allegiance to the British Crown on May 4, 1776, even before the Declaration of Independence, and yet it was also the last of the original 13 colonies to ratify the United States Constitution in 1790. This independent streak is something that still resonates in Rhode Island's culture and is symbolically echoed in the design of its quarter. The sailboat on the coin is not just a generic image, but a representation of the rich sailing culture that permeates Rhode Island, particularly in Newport, which has long been regarded as a premier sailing destination. Newport has hosted America's Cup races, one of the most prestigious sailing competitions in the world, and the state's association with competitive sailing made the choice of a sailboat, emblematic not only of its geography, but of its sporting culture as well. The Claiborne Pell Bridge, also known as the Newport Bridge, was opened in 1969 and has since become one of the state's most recognizable landmarks. It spans over 2 miles across Narragansett Bay, connecting the city of Newport with Jamestown and the rest of the state, including its capital, Providence. The bridge stands as a modern engineering accomplishment, linking the historic traditions of the state with its contemporary infrastructure. In terms of mintage, the 2003 Rhode Island Quarter was produced at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints, with hundreds of millions of examples struck for circulation, as well as special collector editions made in proof and silver. Proof formats, the Philadelphia Mint produced over 423 million pieces, while the Denver Mint struck nearly 447 million. In addition, the San Francisco Mint created proof versions in both clad and silver that were highly sought after by collectors. These proof sets showcase the design in sharp mirrored finishes, highlighting the detail of the sailboat and the bridge in ways that ordinary circulation strikes could not. Collectors have always been fascinated with state quarters, but certain issues like the Rhode Island Quarter hold special appeal not just for residents of the state, but also for anyone who appreciates nautical themes and coastal imagery. Values for these coins in circulated condition are generally low, given the massive number produced, but uncirculated examples and proof strikes hold numismatic value, particularly in higher grades and in certified condition. By grading companies such as PCGS and NGC error coins are also a fascinating area for collectors, with some Rhode Island quarters featuring off-center strikes, doubled dies, or other minting errors that can significantly increase their desirability and market value. The 2003 Rhode Island Quarter thus serves multiple purposes. It is a functional piece of currency. It is a commemorative symbol of state pride. It is a miniature work of art, and it is a collectible item that ties into the broader story of one of the most ambitious coinage programs in United States history. The 50 State Quarters program was widely credited with sparking renewed interest in coin collecting and bringing millions of new collectors into the hobby between 1999 and 2008. The United States Mint estimated that nearly half of all Americans were collecting state quarters, in one form or another, and Rhode Island's coin played its part in this cultural phenomenon. When we talk about making a long, detailed documentary-style video about the Rhode Island Quarter, it is not simply about the coin itself, but about weaving together multiple threads of history, culture, art, and economics. We can discuss the design process, the artistic interpretation of the state's identity, the technical aspects of minting, and the broader story of Rhode Island's maritime heritage. We can connect the coin to Newport's sailing history, to the engineering triumph of the Pell Bridge, to the colonial defiance that defined the state's role in the founding of the nation, and even to the personal stories of collectors who discovered or treasured this coin as part of their own numismatic journeys. A 2-hour exploration would allow us to dive into Rhode Island's history, from its colonial beginnings to its role in the American Revolution, its maritime economy, and its position in the broader fabric of the United States. We could examine the role of coin collecting as a cultural hobby and how the state quarters brought families together to search through pocket change. We could discuss minting techniques in detail, how planchets are prepared, how dies are engraved, and how billions of coins are produced with such consistency, we could explore the economic impact of the state quarters program and its success in increasing demand for collector sets generating revenue for the mint and inspiring similar programs in the years that followed. The Rhode Island quarter is a coin that tells a story far greater than its 25-cent face value. It is a piece of history struck in metal that connects us to the sea, to the spirit of independence, to the artistry of American coinage, and to the shared experience of millions of collectors. If we dive deep into this subject, we find endless avenues to explore, from the artistry of Daniel Carr's design to the technical, minting details from the maritime traditions of Narragansett Bay to the bold character of Rhode Island itself, making it the perfect subject for a professional, in-depth history that can easily be expanded into a 2-hour documentary-style presentation. Imagine holding in your hand not just a piece of metal, but a shining emblem of American history, a miniature monument that tells the story of a land of mountains, rivers, and unbroken spirit. Today, we dive deep into the 2007 Idaho quarter, one of the most fascinating and symbolically powerful coins ever struck by the United States Mint. Welcome to the world where every coin speaks, where design meets history, and where small change carries the weight of a state's legacy. The 2007 Idaho quarter, released as part of the iconic 50-state quarters program, was more than just another addition to the nation's currency. It was a tribute to Idaho's natural beauty, wild spirit, and the soaring majesty of its most recognizable symbol, the peregrine falcon. When this coin entered circulation, millions of Americans saw it as change in their pocket, but few realized the immense planning, artistry, and symbolism that went into its creation. This coin represented not only Idaho's entry into the Union in 1890, but also the very essence of its geography, wildlife, and heritage. The story begins with the 50-state quarters program launched by the United States Mint in 1999 under the authority of the 50 States Commemorative Coin Program. Each quarter would be released in the order that the states ratified the Constitution or were admitted to the Union for Idaho. That moment came on July 3, 1890, making it the 43rd state, and thus the 43rd quarter in the series. The Idaho quarter was officially released on June 5, 2007. Its design immediately caught the eye of collectors and citizens alike. The reverse features a magnificent image of a peregrine falcon in flight, set against the outline of the state of Idaho with the motto, Esto Perpetua, meaning, let it be perpetual. This Latin phrase serves as Idaho's official state motto, symbolizing everlasting existence, endurance, and pride. The peregrine falcon was chosen not only for its stunning beauty, but for its symbolism. It represents power, vision, and freedom, characteristics deeply tied to the spirit of Idaho, known for its rugged wilderness and breathtaking landscapes. The falcon also holds a place of significance in the state's conservation history. Once on the brink of extinction due to pesticide use in the mid-20th century, the species made a miraculous comeback, thanks in part to wildlife recovery efforts across the country, including Idaho's own environmental leadership. This story of rebirth and resilience mirrors Idaho's character and made the falcon the perfect choice for the coin. The design process began with submissions and proposals from Idaho citizens, schools, and artists across the state. The governor's office and a special committee were tasked with narrowing down the designs before sending the final recommendations to the United States Mint. After months of discussion, the peregrine falcon design by Don Everhart, a talented sculptor engraver for the U.S. Mint, was chosen. Everhart's attention to detail brought the bird's grace and precision to life, with outstretched wings, sharp eyes, and a posture that captures motion even in still metal. The obverse of the coin continues to bear the familiar portrait of George Washington, originally designed by John Flanagan in 1932 and later modified by William Cousins for the State Quarters program. This side remains consistent across the series with inscriptions United States of America, Liberty, In God We Trust, and $quarter. Now, the Idaho quarters production took place primarily at the Denver and Philadelphia mints, both facilities striking millions of coins for circulation. The mint marks D and P respectively can be found on the obverse of the coin, near Washington's hairline, but beyond the circulation pieces, a small number of special versions were struck for collectors, including proof and silver-proof coins minted at San Francisco with the S mint mark. These proofs featured mirror-like fields and frosted designs offering a breathtaking visual contrast that truly highlighted the artistry of the peregrine falcon. As for mintage numbers, the Philadelphia Mint produced approximately 294 million pieces, while the Denver Mint struck about 286 million. The San Francisco Mint produced around 2 million proof coins and roughly 1.5 million silver proofs. Despite such large numbers, certain high-grade examples and error coins have become extremely valuable among collectors. Coins with full strikes, no die cracks or misalignments, and sharp detailing of the falcon's feathers often fetch premium prices, especially in mint state condition, graded MS67 or higher by professional grading services, such as PCGS and NGC. The Idaho quarter's symbolism goes far beyond its design and minting. It stands as a reflection of Idaho's cultural and natural identity, a land of adventure where rugged mountains like the Sawtooths and Salmon River canyons shape both landscape and people. Its inclusion of the peregrine falcon serves as a reminder of human responsibility in preserving wildlife and the triumph of recovery through science and dedication. Even the state motto Esto Perpetua is a message that resonates with timelessness. It represents Idaho's desire to remain ever beautiful, ever free, and ever wild from a numismatic perspective. The Idaho Quarter occupies a special place in the State Quarters program, being one of the final issues in the series. Its artistry is often praised for its balance of symbolism and simplicity. Collectors regard it as one of the most elegant and cleanly executed designs of all 50 states, and the way the falcon's wings sweep across the state outline gives a sense of unity between nature and geography, an aesthetic decision rarely seen in other quarters. Beyond the artistic value lies the historical context. The mid-2000s were a time when the United States Mint was reaching its peak. In public engagement with coins, millions of Americans became casual collectors. Children learned state history through pocket change, and numismatics saw a revival like never before. The Idaho Quarter contributed to that movement, helping to bridge art education and heritage in a single circulating piece. Now, if you turn your attention to coin varieties, there are known examples of minor die clashes and double dies, particularly around the lettering Esto Perpetua and the falcon's beak. While not major errors, they remain interesting finds for eagle-eyed collectors. High-quality specimens with brilliant uncirculated luster are often encapsulated by grading services and command higher values depending on their strike clarity and surface condition. Some collectors even build complete 2007 mint sets featuring Idaho alongside other state quarters from the same year, like Montana, Washington, Wyoming, and Utah, creating thematic collections that tell the story of America's western frontier. When comparing the Idaho Quarter to others in the series, its design stands out for being one of the few to feature wildlife as the central theme rather than architecture or human figures. This made it instantly recognizable and gave it a timeless appeal. Even outside the coin community, it has been featured in educational displays, classrooms, and wildlife conservation materials, making it not just a coin, but a symbol of environmental recovery and pride. The Idaho Quarter also inspired discussions about design philosophy in U.S. coinage. Critics and collectors alike praised its powerful simplicity and clean lines, something that would influence later coin programs, including the America the Beautiful Quarters and even the 2021 Washington Crossing the Delaware issue. In this way, Idaho's coin became both an artistic benchmark and a conservation emblem in American numismatic history today. Nearly 2 decades later, the 2007 Idaho Quarter continues to circulate, though many have been pulled from change by collectors or admirers who recognized its beauty and story, some preserved in pristine condition in albums or display cases, while others quietly pass from hand to hand, still carrying Idaho's message Esto Perpetua. Every time they move through commerce in the grand timeline of American coinage, the Idaho Quarter is more than a memento of a state. It is a lesson in symbolism, unity, and perseverance, a representation of how even the smallest coin can carry the mightiest message. It tells us that beauty and meaning can be struck into metal, and that the spirit of Idaho, the soaring falcon, the eternal motto, and the land everlasting will forever live on in silver and copper nickel, for those who look closely, for those who listen to the stories. Their coins whisper. The 2007 Idaho Quarter remains a masterpiece, a tiny yet enduring testament to America's wild heart and Idaho's perpetual pride. Welcome to Coins Quarter Dollar today, We are going deep into one of the most fascinating pieces of American numismatic history, the 2008 Alaska quarter dollar from the United States Mint. This coin is part of the legendary 50 State Quarters program, a program that transformed the way Americans looked at pocket change and gave every state a chance to tell its unique story through a small but powerful design struck into the national currency. The Alaska quarter is not just a piece of metal. It is a miniature work of art, a symbol of heritage, and a story of how America's northernmost state wanted to be remembered in the history of coinage. To understand this coin, we must first look at the roots of the 50 State Quarters program itself. Launched in 1999, this program was designed to honor each of the 50 states of the United States in the order that they entered the Union, with 5 new designs released each year. For a decade, it became the most widely collected coin program in U.S. history, and by the time Alaska's coin was issued in 2008, millions of Americans, young and old, had already become casual collectors, inspired by seeing new designs in their everyday transactions. Now, when it comes to Alaska, its entry into the Union was in 1959, making it the 49th state of the United States, so its coin came near the end of the 50 State Quarters series. The release date for the Alaska quarter was August 25, 2008, and instantly it captured attention with its bold imagery. The reverse design shows a powerful grizzly bear, the king of the Alaskan wilderness, standing in the rushing waters of a river with a freshly caught salmon in its jaws. Behind the bear is the wild flowing river, and the inscription reads, Alaska, 1959, with the motto, The Great Land, which is Alaska's nickname. The symbolism here is profound. The grizzly bear represents both strength and survival, as well as the dominance of wildlife in Alaska, a place where nature still rules in many areas, and the salmon represents abundance, sustenance, and the economic lifeline of the state, since fishing has long been one of Alaska's primary industries. The story behind how this design was chosen is equally interesting. Like all quarters in the program, Alaska's design went through a selection process that included input from state residents, historians, and the governor's office. Several concepts were submitted. Ideas ranged from depictions of the midnight sun to images of dog sledding, to symbolic references to native Alaskan culture, but the grizzly bear with the salmon ultimately won because it best captured the raw, untamed character of Alaska while still fitting neatly into the small space of a quarter. It was also a design that carried weight in terms of economic and environmental significance, showing both the natural predator and its prey in the balance of the ecosystem. The engraver who finalized the reverse design was Charles Vickers, who adapted the selected artwork into coin form. His attention to detail gave the grizzly bear its realistic and commanding presence that made the quarter stand out, even among the many remarkable designs of the series. As for the obverse of the coin, it retains the familiar portrait of George Washington, first used on quarters in 1932, but updated for the State Quarters program by William Cousins. This side carries the words, United States of America Liberty, In God We Trust, and quarter dollar, making sure that while the reverse celebrated the state, the obverse still tied it to the larger nation. When the Alaska quarter entered circulation, it immediately became a favorite among collectors and everyday people alike, partly because of the dramatic bear design, and partly because Alaska as the last frontier carried a mystique that many Americans admired. The release generated excitement within the state itself, as people saw their wildlife and culture honored on a piece of national currency. Schools, businesses, and local newspapers covered the launch, and banks reported long lines of people eager to get fresh rolls of the new quarter on release day. From a historical perspective, the Alaska quarter also holds a place as one of the last few coins of the 50 State Quarters series, since the program would conclude in 2008, with Hawaii following Alaska later that year. This means that by the time the Alaska coin was released, the public had already grown used to collecting, and the demand for each new issue was tremendous. This ensured that the Alaska quarter was produced in very high quantities. Millions upon millions were struck at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints for circulation, as well as special collector versions in proof and silver proof sets from the San Francisco Mint. But like every coin in U.S. history, the Alaska quarter also has its varieties and collectible angles. Coin enthusiasts today often search for examples with pristine, uncirculated surfaces certified by grading companies as Mint State, or even Perfect Mint State 70. Additionally, there are error coins such as those with striking flaws, die, cracks off center strikes, or double dies that can make an ordinary 25-cent coin worth much more to a serious collector. The Alaska quarter, therefore, is not only a piece of circulating money, but also a gateway into the deeper world of numismatics, where rarity condition and minting errors turn everyday objects into prized collectibles. To understand why the Alaska quarter matters, we also have to look at Alaska itself, known as the Great Land. It is the largest state in the United States by area, and one of the least populated. Its land is rugged, filled with mountains, glaciers, vast forests, and untamed rivers. Its wildlife, including bears, moose, wolves, and eagles, plays a central role in both the environment and the culture of the people who live there. The salmon depicted on the coin is not just food, it is a resource that has shaped the economy and traditions of Alaskans for centuries. Commercial fishing and subsistence fishing alike rely on these salmon runs, making them central to life in the state. By choosing this imagery, the Alaska quarter becomes more than just a design. It becomes a miniature portrait of a living culture and ecosystem. The 2008 Alaska quarter continues to hold fascination today in collector circles. It is valued not only for its beauty and symbolism, but also for its place at the end of the state quarter's journey, if you build a full collection. Of all 50 coins, the Alaska piece sits proudly near the end, right before Hawaii, closing the story of one of the most ambitious coin programs in American history. And every time someone holds the Alaska quarter, they hold not just 25 cents of spending money, but a tiny emblem of the wild, untamed great land of Alaska, a place that still inspires awe with its scale, its beauty, and its wildlife. All right, imagine this. You open your eyes and see a coin that holds the story of one of the most powerful moments in American history, a simple 25-cent piece that carries the pride, pain, and perseverance of a nation. This is not just another quarter. This is the 2011 Gettysburg Quarter, a masterpiece born from the America the Beautiful Quarters program designed to honor the places that shaped the American spirit. This coin represents not just a battlefield, but the very ground where freedom was defended and the nation was tested to its core. The 2011 Gettysburg National Military Park Quarter stands as the 6th release in the series, and the first of the year. It was minted to commemorate the site of the decisive Civil War, battle fought from July 1st to July 3rd, 1863. A battle that became the turning point of the entire war, where over 165,000 soldiers faced off in what would become the deadliest battle ever fought on American soil. The design on this coin captures a view that echoes through history. The Union Soldiers Monument, located within the Gettysburg National Military Park in Pennsylvania, standing tall in honor of the 1st Minnesota Infantry Regiment, a unit that gave everything in defense of the Union. The monument's detailed depiction on the reverse of the coin was created by designer Joel Iskowitz and engraved by sculptor and engraver Phoebe Hemphill. Every curve of that monument, every etched line of that flag blowing in the wind symbolizes courage and sacrifice. This quarter is more than metal. It is memory forged in silver and copper. Its obverse features the timeless portrait of George Washington designed by John Flanagan, first used in 1932. His stoic profile continues to embody the nation's ideals of liberty and leadership. The Gettysburg Quarter was minted in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, each bearing their respective mint marks, PD and S, and collectors around. The world immediately recognized its historical and artistic importance. The circulation strikes were primarily for everyday use, but the proof and silver-proof versions gave collectors something truly special. The silver edition, crafted in 90% silver with a diameter of 3 inches in its 5-ounce bullion format, shined like a mirror of history itself, representing both the battlefield's solemnity and the nation's endurance. The release of this coin was more than a numismatic event. It was a national moment. On January 27, 2011, the United States Mint officially launched it at Gettysburg National Military Park. Thousands of history lovers, coin collectors, and veterans gathered as the Mint's officials presented the coin and honored those who fought there. The cheers echoed across the fields that once thundered with cannons and cries of battle. Each Gettysburg Quarter tells a story that stretches back over a century and a half, when Union and Confederate forces clashed under the summer sun on those rolling Pennsylvania hills. The battlefield itself later transformed into a sacred national park, a symbol of reconciliation and remembrance, authorized by Congress in 1890. 5 and established as one of the earliest military parks, the park preserves nearly 6,000 acres of history. Monuments, cannons, and stories of those who stood their ground. The quarter's intricate artistry draws us back into that history. When the 1st Minnesota Regiment charged forward into near certain death to hold the Union line, their bravery changed the course of the war, and that moment, immortalized in bronze and marble, now lives on in this small but powerful coin, the America. The Beautiful Quarter series, launched in 2010, set out to honor 56 national parks and historic sites across all 50 states, the District of Columbia, and 5 territories, the Gettysburg Quarter, being the 6th coin in the series, represents not only Pennsylvania's contribution to the nation's story, but also the enduring strength of the American people. Its minting numbers were significant, over 30 million struck in Philadelphia and 30 million in Denver. Yet even, with those millions of coins, each one carries the same silent story of sacrifice, honor, and unity. Many collectors look for mint errors, double dies off center strikes, or unusual finishes that make specific Gettysburg quarters valuable, some rare. Proof versions or 5-ounce silver editions can fetch high prices in auctions, especially when graded by professional services like PCGs or NGC, with perfect or near-perfect grades. The symbolism of this coin extends beyond the battlefields. It connects with every American who understands that freedom is not free, and that the weight of liberty has always been paid in blood, sweat, and courage. The monument featured on the coin was erected in 1897 and remains one of the most recognized landmarks in Gettysburg today. Its depiction reminds viewers of the men who fought for unity and the ideals that bind the nation together. Every edge of this quarter, every reflective surface, every faint scratch from circulation, tells part of that timeless tale. When you hold this coin, you hold the memory of Gettysburg. You hold the echo of Lincoln's words when he delivered the Gettysburg Address, just months after the battle, standing where thousands had fallen. He reminded, "The nation, that government of the people, by the people, and for the people, shall not perish from the earth." And that same message lives on through this small but enduring piece of American artistry, as we explore the detailed craftsmanship, the historical background, the mintage data, the collector's appeal, and the emotional depth behind the Gettysburg Quarter. We begin to realize this is not just a coin. It is a time capsule that connects modern America to the sacrifices of its past, from the minting presses that struck the first shiny planchets to the collectors who carefully store it in cases today. The Gettysburg Quarter continues to inspire and remind us of what defines us as a nation: strength, courage, and unity. So stay with me as we journey deep into the story of the 2011 Gettysburg Quarter, from its artistic origins to its numismatic legacy, from the bloody fields of battle to the shining dies of the U.S. Mint. We will uncover every fact, every detail, and every symbol that makes this coin one of the most powerful pieces in American numismatic history. This is more than a history lesson. This is a story of pride, resilience, and remembrance that you can hold right in the palm of your hand. This is the 2011 Gettysburg Quarter, the coin that tells the story of America's defining moment. All right, listen up, because this is not just another coin story. This is a journey through time, metal, and meaning. Today, we dive deep into one of the most stunning and mysterious pieces of modern American coinage, the 2015 Blue Ridge Parkway Quarter. A coin that doesn't just represent currency, but captures the soul of America's natural beauty and its relentless spirit of exploration. This is not just about a coin. It's about a national treasure struck in metal, a window into the history of one of America's most scenic highways, and a symbol of how the U.S. Mint turned everyday change into storytelling on a national scale. Now imagine holding a small, round piece of metal that carries with it 80 years of history, mountain engineering, design philosophy, and cultural heritage. When the Blue Ridge Parkway Quarter was released in 2015, it became the 28th coin in the America the Beautiful Quarter series, a program launched in 2010 by the United States Mint to honor 56 national parks and historic sites across the country. This series wasn't just about minting coins. It was a tribute to the landscapes that define the American spirit. The Blue Ridge Parkway Quarter stood out immediately for its breathtaking design that reflects the gentle, winding road cutting through the majestic Smoky Mountains, a design that feels alive with depth, motion, and harmony, created by artist Frank Morris and engraved by Joseph Mena. The coin shows a curving road that almost invites you to travel into its world, symbolizing freedom, adventure, and the connection between man and nature. But to understand the real depth of this coin, we have to go back to the origins of the parkway itself. A road that is more than 469 miles long, stretching from the Shenandoah National Park in Virginia to the Great Smoky Mountains National Park in North Carolina. Construction began during the Great Depression in 1935, part of Franklin D. Roosevelt's New Deal program, which sought to give work to thousands of unemployed Americans. It was a bold vision to create a scenic highway, unlike any other one, that blended perfectly into the natural contours of the Appalachian Mountains. Workers labored through rugged terrain, cutting through rock-carving tunnels, building stone walls, and shaping the landscape with both engineering precision and artistic vision. The Blue Ridge Parkway became not only a road but an experience designed to awaken the senses. Every curve, every overlook, every tunnel was planned with purpose, and when you look at the coin, you can see that vision captured perfectly. The artist's choice to depict the Lynn Cove Viaduct, an architectural marvel that clings to the side of Grandfather Mountain in North Carolina, wasn't random. It was a message. The viaduct represents how human ingenuity can coexist with nature, respecting and enhancing rather than destroying it. The viaduct itself, completed in 1987, took more than a decade to design and build. Engineers used a segmental bridge technique never before applied on this scale. Each segment was built off-site and carefully placed by cranes to avoid disturbing the fragile mountain ecosystem. Now think about that. Every piece of concrete precision placed on a mountain cliff just so nature could breathe freely around it. And that's the story. This coin immortalizes the coin's obverse features. The classic portrait of George Washington, originally designed by John Flanagan and refined over the decades to match modern minting standards. But the real magic lies on the reverse side, where the parkway design transforms the coin from metal to art. Minted in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, the 2015 Blue Ridge Parkway. Quarters come in both uncirculated and proof versions, with the San Francisco Mint producing the special proof strike, known for its mirror-like finish and deep cameo contrast. The proofs are struck multiple times under high pressure, giving every line and curve of the viaduct an almost sculpted clarity that collectors can't resist. But beyond the shine and polish, this coin tells a story of American progress and preservation. The Blue Ridge Parkway itself is often called America's favorite drive, not because of its length or speed, but because it connects people with history, culture, and the landscape in a way few roads ever could along its path. You find old homesteads, mountain farms, trails, waterfalls, and even ancient Native American pathways. It's a journey through layers of time, and that's what this coin captures in the smallest of details. The design curves reflect not just the road, but the continuity of life and motion. The trees around it symbolize endurance. The mountains in the background speak of permanence and strength. The craftsmanship of this coin reminds us that every minting process is a story in itself. Each blank piece of copper and nickel or silver for the collector's edition starts as raw metal, refined, polished, and prepared before being struck by powerful presses that leave a lasting image, a symbol of heritage struck in steel. The mint's work on this coin reflects precision down to microns. The dies must align perfectly every time to produce the flawless strike, and when you multiply that across millions of quarters, you begin to see the scale of craftsmanship and industrial artistry involved. The Blue Ridge Parkway quarter also carries economic and cultural weight for collectors. It's more than just another release. It's a piece of living history connecting American coinage with the nation's natural identity over time. These coins have gained respect in the numismatic world for their elegant simplicity and artistic narrative. Some collectors look for rare die varieties or mint errors that make certain pieces more valuable, such as off-center strikes or doubled dies. Though rare, any such variation instantly transforms a common quarter into a prized artifact. Now picture this: you're driving along the parkway, the wind flowing through your window, the horizon stretching endlessly, and the same road you're traveling is engraved on a coin that may be in your pocket. That realization hits hard. This isn't just a collectible. It's a shared story. It's a reminder that American coins are more than metal. They are cultural markers, each one preserving a part of the nation's character. The Blue Ridge Parkway coin stands as a testament to America's commitment to preserving its natural beauty while celebrating human achievement in harmony with the environment. As we explore deeper through the parkway's milestones, the craftsmanship of its bridges, the evolution of its design from the 1930s to today. We understand why the U.S. Mint chose this subject for the America the Beautiful series. It's not just beautiful. It's symbolic of what America strives to be: balanced, enduring, connected to its roots, yet always moving forward. The 2015 Blue Ridge Parkway Quarter remains one of the finest examples of modern commemorative design, a coin that merges art, engineering, and storytelling into one unified form. And as you look at it under the light, you don't just see a road, you see history carved into metal, a reflection of human dreams against the backdrop of timeless mountains, a journey captured forever in the palm of your hand. And that's why when you hold this coin, you're not just holding 25 cents, you're holding decades of determination, artistry, and pride minted into eternity. Welcome to the story of one of the most fascinating coins in the America the Beautiful Quarters program, the 2013 White Mountain $quarter coin. A piece of numismatic artistry that captures not only the history and natural beauty of New Hampshire, but also the deeper legacy of how the United States Mint chose to commemorate its landscapes, monuments, and heritage through the coinage of our nation. This is not simply a coin, it is a storyteller in metal. It is a miniature monument to a place that has inspired travelers, naturalists, poets, and historians for centuries. And when you hold this quarter, you are holding more than 25 cents. You are holding a window into American history, culture, and the untamed beauty of the White Mountains. Journey to this coin begins with the America the Beautiful Quarters program, which was launched in 2010, following the unprecedented success of the 50-state quarters program that ran from 1999 to 2008. The state quarters had revolutionized coin collecting by bringing millions of new collectors into the hobby. They celebrated state history, culture, and icons. But after their conclusion, the U.S. Mint sought to create a follow-up program with equal or even greater educational and historical value, and thus was born the America the Beautiful program, a series of 56 quarters issued between 2010 and 2021, each honoring a national park or site in every state territory and the District of Columbia. The White Mountain Quarter was the 16th release of this ambitious program, and the first coin issued in 2013. The site it honors is White Mountain National Forest, located in the northeastern United States, spanning New Hampshire and Maine. The White Mountains have long been celebrated for their rugged peaks, scenic vistas, and cultural impact. This national forest covers nearly 800,000 acres, and it represents a unique mix of wilderness recreation, heritage, and conservation history. The design of the coin is where the art meets the history on the obverse. As with all quarters in this program, you see the portrait of George Washington, first created by sculptor John Flanagan in 1932, but modified for modern striking standards. Washington's face is timeless, strong, and symbolic. Of the foundations of the Republic above him, you read the word liberty to his left, the phrase "In God We Trust" to the right, the mint mark depending on whether your coin was struck in Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco, and beneath him, the denomination, $quarter. The reverse design of the White Mountain coin is where the unique story comes alive. The artwork chosen by the United States Mint captures Mount Chocorua, the most iconic and frequently climbed mountain in New Hampshire's White Mountains range. The design shows the mountain rising in the distance, framed by dense forests and birch trees standing tall in the foreground. This scene reflects both grandeur and serenity, a balance of natural majesty and intimate wilderness detail. The composition is both artistic and geographical, as Mount Chocorua has become legendary, not only for its height and beauty, but also for its folklore stories and cultural presence in American art and literature. The engraver behind the coin was Phoebe Hemphill, a master sculptor engraver at the U.S. Mint. Her work is known for capturing depth, detail, and motion in static metal surfaces. She brought Mount Chocorua to life in a way that coin collectors immediately recognized as both technically excellent and emotionally powerful. The sharp engraving lines highlight the rocky peak, while the tree details at the base give a sense of scale and depth, showing how humans interact with vast landscapes in a coin just over an inch in diameter. To truly appreciate this coin, we must go deeper into the history of the White Mountains themselves. The region has long been a symbol of New England wilderness and adventure. Native American tribes lived in these lands for thousands of years, and Mount Chocorua is linked to native legend, One story speaks of a Native American chief named Chocorua, whose tragic fate on the mountain gave it his name. European settlers came later, and by the 19th century, the White Mountains had become a destination. For painters, writers, and tourists, the Hudson River School of Artists immortalized its landscapes while railroads brought city dwellers from Boston, New York, and beyond into the heart of the mountains. The White Mountain National Forest was officially established in 1918, a landmark in conservation history protecting vast areas of forest land from overlogging and ensuring that future generations could enjoy its beauty. When we examine the mintage and production of the 2013 White Mountain Quarter, we discover more details that fascinate collectors struck at Philadelphia and Denver for circulation and at San Francisco for proof sets. The total mintage numbers reach into the hundreds of millions, but as with all coins, condition, rarity, and strike quality matter. The standard clad composition is copper-nickel, while the Mint also issued special 90% silver versions for collectors. As part of silver-proof sets, numismatists examine strike details, luster, and mint mark variations. To determine value and appeal, high-grade examples, especially in MS67 or higher, can be valuable to collectors, though the wide circulation makes it accessible to everyone. The White Mountain Quarter has multiple layers of meaning. It is a circulating piece of art. It is a commemoration of a national treasure. It is a continuation of a beloved coin program. And it is a piece of New Hampshire's identity, just as the Old Man of the Mountain had been a state symbol before its collapse in 2003. Mount Chocorua on this quarter carries the spirit of the state into millions of pockets, purses, and collections nationwide. To narrate the story of this coin for hours, we can explore multiple dimensions. We can go into the history of the America the Beautiful Act, which authorized the program, and how it shaped modern coinage. We can analyze the design process where multiple sketches and concepts were submitted before the final choice was made. We can trace the history of White Mountain National Forest itself, how it was nearly destroyed by timber companies before conservationists and lawmakers intervened. We can dive into the legends of Mount Chocorua and how his name still echoes in stories and songs. We can even compare this coin with others in the series, noting how each design captures a different mood of American geography, from deserts to coasts to forests to mountains, and then reflect on how the White Mountain Quarter fits into the grand story of American numismatics. Every collector who studies this coin learns not just about minting techniques and market values, but also about the culture that gave birth to it. The passion of artists, the commitment of conservationists, the fascination of historians, and the pride of everyday Americans who use and treasure these coins. This is why a simple White Mountain Quarter deserves not just a glance, but hours of reflection, study, and admiration. So when you hold the 2013 White Mountain Quarter in your hand, remember, it is more than metal. It is history, art, culture, and nature crystallized into a single object. It connects you to George Washington, to the mint engravers, to the people of New Hampshire, to the early conservation movement, to the native legends, and to the millions of people who have looked upon Mount Chocorua's peak with awe across centuries. This coin is a true time capsule and a piece of America's heart, and that is why the story of the White Mountain Quarter deserves to be told.